Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Vargas, and I'm with the Communications Division at the Department of Planning and Development. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the department's YouTube page. With that, I'll kick it over to Gerardo Garcia to start us off for the evening. Gerardo.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Gerardo Garcia, Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Planning and Development, Bureau of Planning and Design. Want to start off by thanking everyone for joining us this evening for our developer presentations for the Humboldt Park, North Avenue, and West Southwest RFP. As you'll see throughout the evening here, I am joined by both virtually and for folks that were able to join in person, several of my colleagues from the Department of Planning and the Department of Housing, as well as we have Norma Celadon, who will be our facilitator this evening and will get a chance to introduce herself a little later in the presentation. Just a reminder to please mute your microphones unless you're speaking, and that goes both for our participants, our developer teams as well. So with that, gonna get started here and talk a little bit about this evening's agenda. So obviously, I think as we get through the agenda, you folks will get a chance to meet some of our team members, both virtually and as well as those that are in the room. Going to do a quick recap of the RFP process and the format for our meeting this evening, as well as hear and meet both development teams that have submitted and responded to the RFP opportunity. And then we'll wrap up quickly with next steps. And just a reminder, aquellos que necesitan interpretación en español, pueden presionar el botón que parece como el globo para recibir interpretación en español. So as I mentioned earlier, want to welcome everyone and really for this really exciting moment certainly for the department and for a lot of folks, both community stakeholders and developers that have been working on this effort for quite some time. The Invest Southwest Humboldt Park North Avenue RFP is really looking to reimagine a corner of North Avenue on the corner of North and Pulaski. And as part of that, looking at the historic Pioneer Bank building and a vacant parcel just to the north of it. And this evening, we want to start the process by which we get feedback on these proposals from the community as the city embarks on its evaluation process. So what we want to accomplish tonight are really three things. One is we want for everyone to meet the teams that have responded to the RFP. In this case, that is 2 development teams. We want to, through that process, have them talk about their proposals so that we can learn about them, and also have an opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback to these 2 teams. And how that's going to work is what we're doing now is a quick recap of the RFP vision and process, as well as the team 8-minute presentations from each of the development teams, including an 8-minute video and 22 minutes of question and answers from all of you all for each team. And then again, the Department of Planning will step in and give everyone a sense of what's to come, where we go from this evening, and how do we continue to engage with the community here. Just a friendly reminder to use the Q&A button to ask questions. As you view the videos and developers are presenting and telling you more about themselves, please use that feature to ask your questions in writing. Also, questions can be submitted via email to dpd@cityofchicago.org. And we will be compiling all of the questions and answers from these sessions and posting them on the city's website at chicago.gov/DPD. So a recap of the RFP and how we really got to this evening. The Department of Planning, along with community stakeholders, really went through the process of identifying opportunity sites along the corridor. And one that kind of unanimously rose to the top is the Pioneer Bank building opportunity site. It's a vacant historic bank building that's currently privately owned. And it's nearly 50,000 square feet of building, along with an existing kind of annex or addition just to the west of Pulaski, and a 35,000 square foot vacant lot to the north and across the alley from the Pioneer Bank building. So this is the site that we essentially went out and asked development teams to provide proposals for. And in order to get to that process of asking development teams to provide proposals, we underwent a community visioning process. We set an RFP vision and development principles, really by looking at previous planning studies like the 2005 and 2008 quality of life plans. We also had large kickoff events for Invest Southwest during January of 2020, where we asked communities across the city what their priorities were on Invest Southwest corridors. And we've been holding, through the pandemic, virtually monthly roundtables for Invest Southwest, where we've had the opportunity to connect with stakeholders and talk through initiatives like the RFP and other Invest Southwest related initiatives, as well as, excuse me, 1 second, please, I'm sorry. As well as interviews with various stakeholders and soliciting feedback from our local alderman here, Alderman Maldonado. And we had visioning workshops through April of this year to really ask folks what they envision for this corner, what types of uses really would the community like to see here. And what you can see here is an image of a similar site that we went through this exercise of what a community's priorities could be for that. And that's what we did here for North Avenue. In a nutshell, the RFP vision for the Pioneer Bank that was presented as a starting point in the RFP was really twofold. One was a Latino cultural hub, and the other was affordable housing. And within that, there were several priorities that came about from the community. One of them was, how do we build an 100% affordable housing development with the most number of family-sized units within that? And then again, how do we redevelop the site into a Latino cultural and community hub? And that could have been done through a variety of uses: a community center, a public library, a theater or arts organization, a business incubator, youth services, community serving retail, healthy food, and potentially a green roof. So this idea of really, how do we accommodate uses within the building that are representative of a Latino community and really create a hub for that community. Another priority that came out of the RFP was ensuring opportunities for local wealth creation, including and especially by allowing the opportunity for local Latino-owned businesses and local community to really reap the economic benefits of the development. Through the construction, through tenantship, and obviously through ownership as well. And then looking at how to provide a public gathering and community space within the development, and as well as improving retail options for folks in Humboldt Park. And so just to give everyone a recap or a sense of the timeline, where we've come from and kind of where we're going, we took about 2 months to really develop and release the RFP. And obviously in earnest, we've been working with the community roundtable and talking about the RFP and setting priorities for probably several months before that. Then we released those RFPs and we asked developers to respond to those requests for proposals and to meet to the best of their ability that the vision that I just kind of outlined. And we gave folks about 4 months to do that. And while that was happening, we used that monthly roundtable to continue to engage stakeholders and really chart a course for how this RFP evaluation would happen, which is really the next step. And that's where we are kind of moving towards now, right? And so the city is looking at the respondents or the RFP responses and evaluating them based on their strength and how they responded to the requirements of the request for proposals. Obviously today we're doing our development presentations and we'll go through October with the evaluation and selection process, of which we will include community evaluators. So folks from the community will be evaluating these proposals along with city staff. And then finally, or not finally, but the next big step there will be to develop or to select a developer and to really begin the process of negotiation around the development and to continue the process of engagement with the selected developer and the community. And so just to reiterate, we are here, right? We are commencing the evaluation process. And so tonight we're going to hear from two teams, Los Pioneros, led by the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation, and Team Pioneros, led by Park Road Development. So there's a Pioneros theme here with both teams, obviously playing off of the Pioneer Bank, building the name Pioneer. So what are the things that, as you're hearing from these development teams and thinking about the questions that you want to ask, or hearing your neighbors ask some questions, what are the things that some of the things that we suggest that you all keep in mind is, and things that we want to hear from you, obviously, are your overall impression of each proposal. What excites you about these proposals and what concerns you? And then how are these proposals, each of these proposals, really meeting the key criteria of community wealth building? And what we mean by that is the involvement of minority-owned team members, promotion of local business development, local hiring for jobs in the community, and prior experience in this community, both in development and really what the track record of these teams are in the community. And then the other area that we're evaluating that we really are interested in hearing from the community on is your sense of the competence of the teams and how appropriate these proposals are for the community. And what we mean by that is What are the uses that are being proposed for these spaces? And is that appropriate? Is the proposal reflective of the priorities that we've heard from the community? Is this, in your opinion, a high quality design that responds to this notion of a Latino cultural hub? And is the development and design team in their presentations, do they talk about their experience and abilities in bringing similar projects to fruition? And so how are we going to use what we hear from you all this evening? So one is we're going to take all of the comments, as I mentioned earlier, and all of the questions and the answers to those, and we're going to publish them online, and we're going to do that by Tuesday, October 5th. We're also going to share an online survey that we would appreciate everyone that's here tonight sharing it with your neighbors and friends in the neighborhood, because we really want to hear from folks, their opinions on this evening's presentations. And these evening's presentations will be recorded and available online as well, for folks who couldn't join us today in either format. And we're going to do that after this meeting. And then we're going to continue to review, evaluate the community process, and really bring in community evaluators into the evaluation process. And then finally, again, we're going to use this feedback once we select a respondent and a developer. And one, we're going to use it to select them, but also as we flush out these visions and make them more detailed, we will have all of this feedback from the community to negotiate with developers. And so with that, want to really get to the reason why we're all here, and that's to hear from our development teams, view their videos and be able to ask questions and comment. And as we do that, I also want to take a moment to have Norma Celedon, our awesome facilitator who has facilitated several of these types of meetings for the department in the past, introduce herself and maybe take it from here.
Thank you, Gerardo. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, good evening. My name is Norma Celedon. It is a pleasure to serve as your Q&A facilitator this evening. I currently reside in Little Village and have worked for about 13 years in Pilsen, and have served Latino and other communities in various capacities across the city. So it's my pleasure to serve you tonight. I am bilingual, but tonight you're going to hear me speak primarily in English because we have a translator with us. And sí, hoy voy a hablar en inglés porque tenemos un traductor. Si hay alguien que necesita esos servicios, nada más por favor avísenos en el chat y podemos ayudarle a comunicarle con nuestro traductor. Thank you everyone for being here. We have many community members present who gather together because they desire the best for the community. These issues do not get resolved today. There's a long history of relationship development, and so partnerships are evolving. With that in mind, I want to invite us to go over some gathering norms. So Gerardo, if you will bring up the slide on the norms. Thank you. We are asking anyone who is a panelist to please mute themselves during the presentation and when you're not speaking. Please make sure that that you state your name when you do speak. And please remember that we are asking all viewers to use the Zoom Q&A function for any questions pertaining to the presenters. We will be responding verbally. We were going to raise the the questions out loud, and we are asking the respondents to please answer out loud. There will be some questions that will be answered directly in the Q&A. And just want to remind everyone that all questions and ideas are valid, but we do ask you to please respond with respect. So just a little reminder, we are going to have each of our 2 developers make an 8-minute presentation, and that's going to be followed by 20 minutes of questions. Our first respondent team is Hispanic Housing Los Pioneros, and our second team will be Park Row Team Pioneros. And so after our first team does their presentation and we do a Q&A, we will follow with the next presentation and another set of 20-minute Q&A. I would like to ask our developers to remember that we have an interpreter. So try to speak a little bit slower than you would normally plan to. And also when we have questions posed, if your answers would please be succinct. And so we want to make sure that we have as many questions or room for as many questions as possible. You may find me interrupting you and ask you to consolidate or wrap up your answers. The general audience may pose inquiries in the Q&A section of your screen. And we have also learned from the challenges of the pandemic about the beauty of hybrid meetings. So we have folks that are present in person, and they will be submitting their inquiries through Mike Parella and Nadia Enriquez, and answers will be posted out loud. So we will be switching between Q&A section questions as well as live and in-person questions. If we do not have any inquiries about that, then we are going to move right in and invite our first presenter, Hispanic Housing Los Pioneros, to do their presentation.
For decades, the Pioneer Bank building symbolized the promise of stability, cultural enrichment, and growth. We believe it can do the same today for the community that lives there now. We welcome you to Los Pioneros. I'm Paul Roldan, president of Hispanic Housing Development Corporation. This is an incredible, meaningful project because our vision for Los Pioneros reflects the voices of the community. We've assembled a team of visionaries with skills and experience to turn this vision into reality. HHDC, the developer for this project, brings over 45 years of experience and are deeply rooted in Humboldt Park. We've now been building affordable housing in the community for 20 years. Our work includes Las Moradas Senior Housing, the 65th Infantry Veterans Project, Teresa Roldan Apartments on Paseo Boricua, Plaza Taino Apartments, and North and Pulaski Senior Apartments. In addition, we're developing a 64-unit senior building at the old Pioneer Arcade site down the street on Pulaski, a 64-unit family building at 1201 North California, and a 40-apartment family building at 1237 North California. The architects for Los Pioneros are HED and UrbanWorks. HED, an architectural firm founded in 1908, designed the stunning restoration and adaptation of the Pioneer Bank and Annex buildings. UrbanWorks, a Latina-owned architectural firm with 28 years of experience, designed an exciting new 11-story community arts and affordable housing building. Bringing our vision to life are Tropic Construction and the Leopardo companies. Tropic is a pioneer construction company in affordable housing in Chicagoland. It has successfully managed the construction of 75 distinct projects with a value of $240 million.
The key elements of this proposal are spelled out in our theme, Nuestra Comunidad, Hoy y Mañana, embracing our culture, community, health, and knowledge. It meets the city's development, community, and environmental goals by supporting affordable housing for 76 families, arts and culture, green space, jobs, including 150 temporary and 98 permanent jobs, and business incubator, education through the library and arts organizations, and health through 2 longtime healthcare providers.
So here at Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos High School, we have the Green Communities Youth Build Program, and youth between the ages of 16 to 24 are able to learn construction skills while they earn their high school diplomas. And for us, this is possible because we're able to partner with community organizations that are building, and the Pioneer Project is one that is so worthwhile.
We certainly understand the importance of local community hiring throughout the project and excited to have an opportunity to be engaged in the process. We will have multiple local hiring outreach events well before our construction starts to make sure that local residents are well aware of the opportunities and what skill sets can be utilized.
Hello, I'm Enrique Suarez, and I'm the principal in charge of HED here in Chicago. Central to the vision of our team is the transformation of the historic 3-story banking hall of the new Pioneer Bank into a new community library and cultural hub designed to celebrate our rich literary and cultural heritage. We've partnered with the Puerto Rican artist Christian Rodin. The new library, of course, will host a variety of permanent art and mural installations celebrating the character of the community of Humboldt Park. The reimagined first floor and upper levels of the Pioneros Bank and annex buildings will feature 2 community health and youth service clinics hosted by a partner, Prime Care Health, Community Health and Rincon Family Services. Central to our team's design is the creation of multiple amenity spaces that will be scattered throughout the campus. One of the things we're really excited about is the green roof and community deck, which will overlook the south part of the campus, and the community deck will span the 2nd floor of the Pioneer Annex.
The project Los Pioneros is vital for the Northwest side because it allows communities to come together to be able to build this foundation for the future.
We currently operate a clinic at 1649 North Pulaski, and at that location, we are able to serve about 5,000 patients annually. However, there is still more need than we do have space. Relocating to the new proposed site will allow us to almost double the number of patients we can serve annually.
Linking the bank and the new building is the unique outdoor-indoor La Plaza and El Café Pavilion. La Plaza flows directly into El Café Pavilion, which will be home to the 2nd location of Nelly's Restaurant, part of Humboldt Park's popular Nelly's Puerto Rican restaurant on Division Street.
Los Pioneros aims to provide generations of families with 1, 2, and 3-bedroom affordable and aspirational apartments where they can grow and prosper in the community. It will also house 2 prominent Latino arts organizations, En Las Tablas Performing Arts and Repertorio Latino Theater Company. They both use the arts as a vehicle for community empowerment.
That En Las Tablas is really one of the few bilingual, bicultural community arts programs in this community. And so being able to expand this bicultural, bilingual mission to the West Humboldt Park community is just such a great opportunity, not only for us, but it's also a great opportunity to bring more community members into this type of programming.
This community building and revitalization plan has an approximate total cost of $73.4 million. We anticipate funding it through, for the residential building, a City of Chicago tax-exempt bond issuance, an allocation of 4% tax credits, along with city soft debt, deferred developer fee, and ComEdison and grant funds. For the bank, annex, and plaza phase, a mix of historic tax credits, new market tax credits, and private debt. Expansion of the local TIF district will help finance both the commercial and residential components of the development. It's too early in the development process to have letters of interest or term sheets from these financing sources.
Hispanic housing has never failed to bring a project to completion. In our history, we developed 56 developments of affordable housing. I want to thank the City of Chicago's Department of Planning and Development for giving us this opportunity. Together, we can make this incredible project a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hispanic Housing Los Pioneros. I will start directing my questions to Mr. Roldan, and then you can identify if there is someone better on your team to answer the question. So we will, just as a reminder, we are going back and forth between the question and answer section of our presentation and questions asked live in our in-person meeting. So our first question, Mr. Roldan, is can you be sure to share a complete breakdown of the number and type of bedrooms of units at each percentage AMI?
Surely. Thank you, Norma. Appreciate it. Well, we have 76 affordable family apartments that we're planning. 16 of them are 1 bedrooms, 37 are 2 bedrooms, and 23 are 3 bedrooms. So we have about 80-something% family size apartments, that is 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. We will have a range of rents and income levels between 30% to 60% of median. And that changes depending on the family's income and whether they're 1, 2 or 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, like that.
Thank you so much. I'll move on to the next question. Mr. Roldan, you spoke about affordable housing. Can you please explain, does that include income of the renter?
Yeah, certainly, the program that we will be using, which is a federal tax credit program, requires that families be at least 60% of median income or below. I believe, ballpark for a family of 4, that's somewhere around $54,000, $55,000 or so, that and lower.
Okay, and then we have a question from Maribel that is asking, what is your projected construction schedule?
We are expecting that it will take, if we receive an award this year, that it will take us another year or so to do financing, planning, all of that, and probably another year and a half to build the development. So we're talking about a 2.5-year period.
Okay. We have a question from our live audience. How will you do outreach to make sure that low-income families in the surrounding area are aware of these housing units and make sure that they apply?
Well, as I said, maybe in the video, you saw that we have a 45-year history of developing affordable housing and marketing very, very precisely the developments that we complete to community residents. So we go to great lengths to make sure that neighborhood residents have the first shot at apartments that we develop. We have a long history of that. We currently manage over 10,000 apartments, about 28,000 residents. Many of them are in Logan Square, Humboldt Park, and we continuously have served our community, not only initially when they occupy, but for the next 40 years or so while the buildings are in place.
Thank you, Mr. Roldan. We have a question regarding your presentation. Can you share more details about the library space on the first floor of the Pioneer Bank building?
Sure.
Will there be any amenities, or can you share the square footage?
Thank you, Norma. Enrique, do you want to take that?
Yes, thank you, Paul. This is Enrique Suarez from HED. The bank building, the vision for it is to really create a community hub centered around the community library. And the ground floor would be the Eugenio Maria Hostos Heritage Lounge, which is connected to the library, surrounded by stacks and so on. But it's really meant to be this cultural hub that celebrates our culture. In terms of the size, it takes up all of the ground floor of the bank building, of the former bank building, and that spills out into the plaza, which again is connected to the cafe, as you saw in the video. The idea is to really recreate this idea in Hispanic culture of the plaza, where we celebrate the activities that we like to do, whether they be social or community, etc. I'll add also that the bank building, the hall of the bank building is really meant to be multi-purpose. Multi-purpose in the sense that it serves as a space for meeting. It also serves as a space for arts programs, music, dance, things of that nature.
What I would add to that as well, Norma, is that the library will be providing programs for community entrepreneurs, a sort of incubator with seminars and conferences. It will also have space for youth, for computer labs and study areas and meeting spaces as well.
I want to share a comment. This is not a question, and this comes from Lynn Hopkins, CEO of Prime Care Community Health, and who is sharing that they are very excited about the possibility of bringing additional healthcare and behavioral health services to the community. Our next question comes from Dee Williams, and they ask, is there a provision for parking for residents and for the patients and patrons of the companies that will be housed there?
Yes, and maybe I want to pass that along to either Patrick or Enrique.
There is parking, and it's actually connected to the housing building. So I'll let Pat.
Good, thank you.
I was just going to say, I think we'll take it, and then I'll pass to Antonio in a minute. Yes. So, I mean, first I wanted to say thank you so much. As Paul and Enrique has mentioned, this is an exciting project. Our office has completed over 3,500 units of affordable housing. And this one is really special because of the fact that it can capture the cultural spirit of the neighborhood. We did have thoughts on how should we park the building, how much parking should we add, especially with the pavilion that you see in the background here on my background, and the fact that we want that to be active gathering spaces for performances, for coffee, for all kinds of things that really capture the cultural spirit. So I will ask Antonia if she could tell us the quantity of parking spaces.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat. So yes, we have accounted for over 100 parking spaces directly behind the new construction residential building. We do have a multi-level parking structure that can accommodate up to 96 parking spots. And directly north of the building, there is a surface lot that accommodates an additional 34 parking spots. So as we were talking with the prospective tenants for the project, that was taken into account.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ramos. I will move on to a question from our live audience. Is there a possibility for voucher-based units through the CHA to make this even more affordable or accessible?
Yes, it is a family development, and we would, if awarded the project, we would intend to go to the Chicago Housing Authority to seek Section 8 vouchers to reduce, the rents that we would have to charge for residents and make it yet more affordable.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roldan. We have a question from Mary Lou, who asks, what is the latest on the Pioneer Arcade senior housing development?
We have submitted a proposal to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, a so-called Section 202 funding. They had an offer about 3 or 4 months ago, and we're waiting to hear on that. But it is our intent, if we get that award, to go to additional financing through other public sources. So we're moving ahead with trying to put financing together for that project.
Thank you. We have another question that comes from Juan Calixto. Besides the green roof, what other big sustainable features does the development incorporate?
Who's best to take care of that? Yeah.
Yes, it could be any of us. So I'll start to speak about it, and then I'll have Maria join me also. So in addition to the terraces that you see on this image, which provides 3 large terraces and also green spaces above the parking deck, we also have solar panels in order to bring clean energy to the building. In addition, of course, we would be meeting, low flow toilets, all the other things of low VOC, so all kinds of sustainable elements. And the plaza itself is one of the biggest that we are giving back to the community. We feel that the community should take part in this development and be able to use the spaces. So the plaza area is also a green amenity that is given back to the community, and that's the link between the 2 buildings. And Maria,
Thank you.
to add anything else?
Yeah, sure. Regarding the sustainability elements, one thing that, of course, we want to point out is that the library is an existing building. So there is an amazing sustainable move in reusing the library, or the bank building, I'm sorry. So we're very excited to be able to incorporate that into the development and really tie it into the residential portion with this plaza, which is the gem of the development. And we do envision the plaza as this amazing space for not only the residents to come together and meet one another and celebrate all sorts of things, but also for the entire community. And as was mentioned earlier, Latino communities, we're very social. We want to get together, and the plaza provides that amazing space year round. It is open for summer and can be enclosed for the winter. It has Nelly's Cafe inside, allowing for there to be a great spot on the way to work, on the way from school, and a great gathering space. The buildings themselves are going to be developed with the top-notch green elements, great materials, durability, cleanability, and so on.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'm moving on to one of the questions asked live. What is the use of the 3rd and 4th floors of the bank, and as well as the basement level? Somebody's asking about parking spots and the number of elevators. So please let me know if you need me to repeat any parts of those.
Yeah. Who's best to answer that?
I can answer that.
Enrique.
This is Enrique Suarez. So the upper floors of the bank building, of the former Pioneer Bank building, is the new community health clinic led by our partners at Prime Care Health Services. The middle floors are other tenants, particularly dedicated to some of the community partners that you heard about. The ground floor, of course, is the library, as well as in the mezzanine. And then on the ground floor, we have, the lower level, we have stacks for the library. And I should mention also that part of the library program, which we work with the Chicago Public Library on, is a dedicated Hispanic literature annex. And then lastly is, there's children's areas and teen areas, et cetera. Patrick can fill in the blanks if I've left anything out.
Thanks, Enrique. No, I think that was spot on. And the only thing I'd added, the lower level is, as Enrique mentioned, the actual vault floor, we're turning into a large format activity and makerspace for the community. So we developed that, as Enrique mentioned, in partnership with the library, and that will treble the amount of community activity and makerspace that the library typically provides. And then as you see in the section, all 3 levels of the banking hall will be dedicated specifically to library space, with our new Hispanic Heritage Lounge and Eugenio Maria Ostos Lounge anchoring kind of the heart of that space, which actually you can see behind us virtually as an interactive exhibit and cultural hub.
And Mr. Suarez, I'm not sure if I missed it or not, but there was another part of the question included how many elevators?
How many elevators? I believe there are 2 elevators in our plan right now. And some of the details we still have to work out, of course, because we have to meet the historic requirements. But yes, there are 2 elevators.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We have a question.
If I may, Norma, we really wanted to make sure that the entire project is accessible. So you will see in all of the components of our project, that accessibility, you'll see it on the historic building, you'll see it on the plaza as well. You'll see a ramp going up and into the different spaces at the plaza, as well as in the new construction. So that is definitely something that we wanted to keep in mind. And at the forefront, we understand that it's not just people that might be older with different physical needs, but it could be parents with strollers. It could be any of us who might have an injury at any one point in our life. So we definitely included that in our design.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. I want to remind us that we have about 5 minutes left, so we're going to try to squeeze in as many questions as possible. We have a question from Isabela Guadalupe Alvarez, who would like to know if you are a for-profit or a nonprofit developer.
Well, Hispanic Housing is a not-for-profit developer. It's a good question because our competition is a Park Road Development, is a for-profit entity with about 10 months experience. They were founded 10 months ago. And I say this with all due respect because we all have to start somewhere. They have zero track record. They've not developed one project yet. They have extremely competent leadership, but the fact is, I'm not sure that you want a for-profit entity with no track record developing this very complex project in your community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roldan. I'm moving to one of the questions from our live audience, or in-person audience, I should say. What guarantee do we have that our community will remain Hispanic and affordable in 10 years?
Well, we are, Hispanic Housing Development Corporation. That's sort of our mission. That is to house and create opportunities within communities that are heavily Latino. That is the nature of our mission, has been for 45 years. Certainly, one way to assure that the sort of non-Latino organizations, we have Nelly's, we have Rincon Family Services, we have En Las Tablas, we have the Repertorio Latino Theater. All of those are Latino entities. So when it comes to the Prime Care, they are a federally qualified health clinic that serves, for the most part, people in the community. That's what they'll continue to do. And they will do that without charge to folks, depending on their ability to pay. The library itself, is a public institution. One way of maybe assuring that they stay on track is to have a board from community organizations. So if community organizations provide one member to a board for the library, that's one way to assure that it will continue to have a Hispanic bent to it.
Thank you so much. We have 2 minutes left, so I'm hoping that we can squeeze in 2 questions. Our first question comes from a resident of the corridor who asked, you mentioned a sizable number of permanent jobs. What kind of jobs will those be? And what are the expected incomes of those employees?
Well, there will be, and I should leave this up to you saying that, there will be a number of construction jobs, probably hundreds of construction jobs, but there will be also permanent jobs somewhere in the 60 to 70 person range. And those jobs will be jobs that are not minimum wage, but jobs that are created to service, the institutions that will be in the development, both health, education, and family services. Hussein, do you have any?
Yeah, sure. Just to add to the Paul's comments, this is Wee Sang Lee with Leopardo Companies. We will have the multiple outreach programs and so forth. So not only at the general contractor level, but we will also encourage our subcontractors on the trade level. They will have the multiple outreach programs for the local community. That we will try to engage them and match them with our trade partners. So their income level will be at the union wage level. So if they, let's say, have some plumbing skills and join our project, and then they will make the union wage as a plumber. And same thing for the, if they are general labor skill set for the general contractor level, they will make the union wage for the general, labor levels. So
I'll conclude with a couple of the, thank you, Yusang. I'll conclude with a couple of different comments. I know our time is short and coming to a close, and just really sharing a lot more of our project. This is an exciting opportunity to bring arts and culture, green community space, housing, affordable housing, health, education, and jobs. And I'll stand on that jobs for a second, because these kinds of jobs, each of the partners that we have included are everyone that you see in my background, and all of them are looking to expand. All of them are community-based organizations, and the type of projects that they, and the type of jobs that they are bringing to the table are in construction, are for youth, are entrepreneurial through the library, are in health, are in housing. And so there is a really wide range of opportunities for jobs and for creating wealth and for creating a really long-lasting community-based development in this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. And I just want to invite Mr. Roldan. Our time is up, but would like to invite Mr. Roldan to maybe offer some closing remarks in maybe 30 seconds or less.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Norma. So as Jose said, we have created here, I think, a sustainable urban village, one that provides for, a community center for arts and culture, a library that will service not only the educational needs, but importantly, entrepreneurs and other needs especially within the youth in the community. We have a community center that we have not discussed very much, but we do have a community center in the annex, an entire floor with a rooftop landscape terrace above that will be open to the community and the community program as well. We do have, as I said before, to a great extent, worked very, very long hours with Chicago Public Library staff in designing a space specifically for their needs. We also have, unlike our competitor, a letter of interest from the library, having gone through that vetting process with them to design this beautiful building into a new library for the Humboldt Park branch. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Roldan, and thank you so much for Hispanic Housing Los Pioneros. We would like to now remind individuals that there are questions that were unanswered. However, there will be a summary Q&A that will be provided by the city. There is also opportunities to submit your questions, and we'll provide you contact information to do that. I do want to warn us that as we move into our next presenter, we are going to start fresh with your Q&A. So if there are questions that you want to ask to our second respondent, we invite you to resubmit them again, please.
Norma, if I could interject for one moment. We have more than 25 questions here in the Q&A box that have not been addressed for the Hispanic housing team. During the next video, if you could go ahead and move through this Q&A and answer as many of the questions as you can in writing, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
And Norma, I'll just note for you, the last question is at 6:53 p.m. For this team.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And now we would like to move on to the Park Road team, Pioneros. Please take the floor.
Bienvenidos a todos. My name is Juan Moreno. I have the distinct honor and privilege of sharing our proposal for Invest Southwest, Humboldt Park, the Pioneer Bank site. I'm one of the team leaders and part owner of Team Pioneros. And for us, Pioneros means more than the Spanish translation of pioneer. We feel our submittal is truly pioneering. Pioneering for Chicago, pioneering for an industry that often doesn't celebrate Latinos enough. 100% of our development, construction, design, and engineering team are Latino-owned firms. These are some of the most notable firms in Chicagoland coming together in the spirit of Hispanic heritage to make a difference and change a narrative. The leadership starts with Park Road Development, All Construction, and JGMA. The design team and engineers include GSG, Accent, Torres Engineering, and MEPIS. But our community partners include Humboldt Park Health, Business Technology Education Center, and Arquitectos. We're not new to Humboldt Park or the Latino community. As you'll see from our past clients, we've been here before. In fact, this team has worked on over 30 projects for Chicago's Latino community, reinforcing our lifelong commitment to the city and Latinos. Our experience and recent experience includes projects for Humboldt Park, Lathrop Homes, El Centro, Encuentro Square, and Humboldt Park Wellness, which are two recent projects. The Humboldt Park Hospital transforms a 100-year-old hospital in Humboldt Park. Lathrop Homes brings a historic building back to life, providing affordable housing. El Centro creates higher education opportunities for Latinos and immigrants. Future projects include affordable housing at Encuentro Square and a wellness center in Humboldt Park. This project is the culmination of our experiences, but also takes us back to the history of the site. The idea is to take that Pioneer Bank building and create a continuum of its history, one that extends northward on the site, provides moments of entry and outdoor space, potential amenities spaces for the residents, and uplifting affordable housing and putting it on a pedestal where it belongs. This also represents a commitment for JGMA and my firm to leave our River North offices and relocate ourselves to the Pioneer Bank and become the anchor tenant. Entrenching ourselves in a Latino community where we belong. We'll also be joined by BTEC, Arquitectos, amongst others. The space will have a community plaza, a library, significant amount of parking with over 110 stalls, amenity space, which includes mental health counseling for the residents of the affordable housing, a residential community balcony as well that provides outdoor space for the residents. And again, a residential building that is up on a pedestal, providing views for all the units. But coming back to history, that's where the inspiration for the project begins. This idea of creating a continuum of the history from the old building to the new, where you can feel the pull of the past as it extends into the future, which will be a bright future. One that takes this notion of a Latino cultural hub, fuses together all the unique qualities of Latino cultures in Chicagoland, and begins to inform the building with a conversation about what is that bright future for Latinos. It's one that merges again the past in this magnificent historic building and bringing it back to life. But let it be the starting point for what can be a significant moment of transformation, and one that celebrates that past, but then also speaks to a future that celebrates everything that is and should be Latino. The total project cost is $52.5 million. You can see the breakdown of each of the components. As it pertains to wealth building, we're providing over 350 construction jobs, 50 to 70 permanent jobs, but again, 100% of the development, construction, design, and engineering teams are Latino owned. Ownership is where wealth is built. An overview of our technical competency can be seen here. It's a project that fully understands the importance of the Invest Southwest program. One that is absolutely about design excellence, creating a sense of place. A place, again, respects the past but speaks to the future, and how those two conversations can come together. It's a place that talks about culture and legacy and celebrates everything Latino in the most positive lights. It's a building that doesn't try to say we have a back side or a front side. It's a building that's experienced in the round. It's one that in the center creates and carves out space for residents that have amenities, indoor amenities that again include mental health counseling, community spaces, and then outdoor spaces, bringing the residents together. When approached southbound on Pulaski, the notion of what the future can be and how the building represents this momentum of change can be felt, as you can see from these images. And that unique fusion of the past and the future, creating excitement in a community that deserves it. It's a building that intentionally is a momentum changer from the team that's formed, a momentum changer from an aspect of wealth building for Latinos, a momentum changer for an industry, but also gives a chance for this building to connect with our city and truly be Pioneros.
Thank you very much, Park Road Team Pioneros. I will be addressing my questions to Mr. Mosier. And Mr. Mosier, you can decide who will answer the questions accordingly.
Sounds good.
Okay. I am looking to see what questions we have.
Didn't see any new ones.
Okay, until people are ready to submit questions, I perhaps am going to recycle some of the previous questions and ask you if there is affordable housing related to this program.
Absolutely, it's 100% affordable, 75 total units with 28 one-bedrooms, 24 two-bedrooms, 12 three-bedrooms, and 11 four-bedrooms. And within that breakup, we split it up between units for people making 60% of AMI and people whose income is 30% of AMI. And the breakdown for those are, of the 28 one-bedrooms, 16 are reserved for 60% AMI, 12 are reserved for 30% AMI. Of the 24 two-bedrooms, 14 are reserved for 60% AMI, 10 are reserved for 30% AMI. Of the 12 three-bedrooms, 7 are reserved for the 60% AMI, 5 are reserved for the 30% AMI, and of the 11 four-bedrooms, 6 are reserved for 60% AMI, and 5 are reserved for 30% AMI. So it's 100% affordable.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mosher. Can you tell us a little bit about your projected construction schedule?
Sure. You know, we plan on, once we start construction, it taking 18 months, and that would be, our hope is to do the renovation of the bank building and the new construction at the same time. But, that's just for construction. If the question is asking what the total program schedule would be, our goal would be, if we're fortunate enough to be awarded, our goal would be to obtain site control in February of 2022 and be done with the project by September of 2025.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Mary Lou Seidel, who's asking, would you please share the vision for the first floor of the historic building?
Matt, I can take that. Hi, everyone. Okay. I'm Juan Moreno with JGMA. So the first floor of the bank, we're partnering with BTech, Arquitectos is two of the primary users. I will also say that we've had conversations with the Puerto Rican Cultural Center just about some of their interests in the area. I'm going to pass it to BTech so they can talk about the way that they use the space. Xavier, if you're on, if you wouldn't mind taking that. And you might be on mute, Xavier.
Hello, everyone. My name is Xavier Hernandez. I am with BTech, which is a Business Technology Education Center. Not only being a resident in Humboldt Park, but also having my established business in a wonderful building that we're housed in Rincon at 3944. We understand the dynamics of creating community wealth. So the first floor is really going to encompass a lot of great upskill mobility where we can invite those who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, at the same time creating career pathways that lead to successful, sustainable jobs, which is going to be something very unique that this community needs. So this first floor, our vision is to bring in all levels of entry-level startup entrepreneurs who are looking not only to build a business model, but also a system with community funding, grant funding, and other amazing resources that the city and state has to offer.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hernandez. Was something else going to be offered?
Well, I was going to ask that Ingidia, if you wouldn't mind speaking to what this ground floor space means to Arquitectos.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? My name is, thank you. My name is Ingidia Sanchez. I'm a licensed architect and the president of Arquitectos, the Society of Hispanic Professional Architects. This would mean a designated space. We are an organization that's been around, incorporated in the early 90s, to provide a valuable resource for Latino and Latino architects, offering community engagement and career and professional development. We're currently a 501(c)(3). We haven't had a space yet, and this would be a wonderful opportunity for us to have a designated space, host our programming, and be able to reach out to the community. Most recently, we're the type of organization that outreaches to young students. We've partnered up with the TRIO program at Northeastern Illinois University to expose Latino students to architecture and engineering. We also engage with the university level students and emerging professionals. We come from all backgrounds and nationalities. So this would be a phenomenal place for us to continue that engagement and to continue that programming and provide, opportunities for our community in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. I'm going to move to one of our in-person questions. Someone would like to know when and where will tenants be able to place applications for the affordable units?
I'll take that one. We'd start the application process shortly after we started construction.
Okay, let's move on to another live question, or in-person question rather. How will you do outreach to make sure low-income families in the surrounding area are aware of these housing units and make sure they're able to apply?
The first place we'd start is with the alderman's office and get outreach as much as we can. We take out advertisements everywhere we could. We'd work with the CHA if there's people on their wait list that they would be willing to move into this space. We would do everything we could to just get the word out.
Thank you so much for that answer. We have a question from Dr. Melissa Lewis, who is asking, what commitment are you making to provide workforce experience and job training to youth of color in the community?
To Xavier, I think he can speak to that the best. Xavier, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Having the grateful honor of working for workforce development for the mayor's office for over 20 years, yes, we would have to have a robust workforce development team on hand, working with groups like the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, and also working with city colleges, right? Because there is a lot of amazing jobs that are now in STEM and STEAM. And what's really great in understanding is that a lot of these new skill sets that we're seeing post-pandemic are now, we have career pathways that can lead from technical training, or it could be a degree, or it could be a certification that leads to forward mobility and sustainable workforce.
And I'd like to add too, from the construction side of this, our partner, Louis Puig, who owns All Construction Group, who's a partner in the project. He's also the owner of Park Row Development. We've started this process now. He actually hired Phaedra Leslie for the sole purpose of doing outreach and community hiring. So she would be integral for us on this as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mosher. We have an important question from the Q&A. Will a community gym be included?
I'll take that. So there are a lot of programmatic elements that still need to be discussed with the community. I think one of the things that we look forward to is engaging with some of the specific community needs. And I think we would welcome all ideas.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. I am now again moving to a in-person question. What are the businesses for this development? Where is the courtyard?
So the businesses are all housed within the Pioneer Bank building. So as was mentioned in the video, it starts with my firm leaving downtown and becoming the anchor tenant in the Pioneer building. So we will relocate all of our staff. And that is our commitment to this community, and specific the Latino community. And the others are BTEC and Arquitectos. Again, all of those businesses would be moving to the Pioneer Bank. As it relates to outdoor space, there's a plaza that sits between the bank building and the new building to the north at the ground level. But I think there's another important part of this plan that I'm really excited about, and that's the idea of creating an elevated plaza. The space that sits above the parking structure is what we call a community balcony. It's a space that gathers everyone. The residents all have the opportunity to have this glorious space that's elevated and has unbelievable views to all sides. So it's the idea that you can bring people together in this really incredible amenity floor that has indoor and outdoor amenities.
Something along the lines of that answer, there is a question about what areas will be open to the public.
So the ground floor areas are open to the public. The elevated balcony is for the residents of the affordable housing.
Okay, we have a question, an in-person question. Who will pay for all these changes? And will the people who live here be able to live there in the next 10 to 20 years?
I'm not sure what in regard to changes, what that would be, but in regards to affordability, this would be, just given the nature of the tax credits that we're pursuing to get this, it would be locked in for affordable. And our intent would be to keep it affordable for the lifetime of the building.
Thank you. I'm going to continue with another in-person question. Es en Spanish. La plaza grande que se ve al cruzar de la calle con gente, eso va a ser nuevo. The larger plaza that I see across the street with people, will that be new? I don't recognize that area as an area from the neighborhood. I think currently Walgreens is there.
Sí, no es parte del proyecto, eso nada más es un render que está demostrando la posibilidad.
So, Mr. Moreno, would you mind translating that, or I can do that for you?
No, I'm happy to. So what you're seeing is an artistic representation from a rendering, and it's from the view, as mentioned, of the Walgreens parking lot.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. We have a question from Eric. Can we speak to both or either development team's planned commitment to make the development accessible to families, 4 to 6 member household?
Yeah, our approach for this was to give as many 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units as we could. And that's how we addressed it, to just to take as many diverse number of family members as we could find.
Yeah, I'll just add, Norma, that the first level of the affordable housing, which is the 5th floor of the project, that entire floor is a 4-bedroom units dedicated to families.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moreno. We have an in-person question that asks, will the businesses in the bank building be majority or minority owned?
All of the businesses as presented this evening will be 100% minority owned.
Maribel Jaramillo asks, in the video, it mentions that the facilities are for residents. Does this refer to the residents of the building or residents of the community? And there's a second part of the question, but I'll allow you to answer that first.
So I think it represents both, in particular for the residents of the housing. There are other programmatic aspects, and I'd like to hand it over to Jose Sanchez to talk about the Humboldt Park Health counseling piece that is specifically for the residents. Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, good evening. This is Jose Sanchez. I have been in healthcare for the last 30 years, and I have been a CEO for Humboldt Park Health for about 11. One of my focus on my career has been mental health services. I think that in light of what took place with the pandemic, I think that our focus should be offering mental health counseling services to the entire community, but going beyond that by integrating both physical health and mental health services, which have always functioned independently. And today we need to be able to integrate to address this in a comprehensive approach.
The second part of that question asked, the other plan mentioned having a lounge area and potential places for community members to simply exist. Does this plan have anything similar?
Yes, it does. Not only do we have outdoor space at the ground floor, but that amenity level that I spoke to also has community rooms that can be used by the community and accessed by the community.
Thank you. We have a question from Noemi Quiñones. Include adding, it looks like there's a request to include adding area Latino community centers for outreach for affordable housing, not just the Alderman's office.
And just to answer, we will for sure.
Thank you. Question for Team Pioneros. How do you justify a housing design that looks so much like a downtown office complex or insurance company and so little like an apartment building? How will it be congruent with this neighborhood?
I actually think that's a wonderful compliment. I think, I'm a big proponent of housing being dignified. And I think that this design is one that speaks to what dignity and affordable housing can be. By no means is it meant to look like any kind of reference that was mentioned, but I do think that the way this has been designed, when we talk about elevating all the units at such a height that everybody in those units gets to take place and receive what we all deserve, and that's views of our entire city. I think those are important aspects of the design, and I think I really like changing the narrative of what we think affordable housing is, and I think beautiful spaces like these are what our community and our residents deserve.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moreno. We have a question from Maribel, who is concerned, will there be a place for young children to play?
Absolutely. I think, from the plaza that we spoke of, but also I think that's one of the aspects of the library that really intrigues me. We've seen these magnificent library and affordable housing projects go in 3 communities, and none of those have been a Latino community. And I think when you see those spaces, and I take my children to one of those, so I know it quite well. There are these incredible spaces for young kids just enjoy library space. So absolutely, that becomes part of the programmatic criteria for us.
Okay, we have a question about what the layout of the Pioneer Bank on the inside will look like.
So
The ground floor and basement levels will be dedicated to BTEC and to Arquitectos. The upper level, third floor and fourth floor will be dedicated to my firm and our relocation to the building WD offices.
Okay,
I would like to add one more thing. Hi, everyone. My name is Emilio Padilla. One of the sensitivities with our team too is to recognize that the bank does have a lot of historic value to it, right? Not just in what it means to the community and how long it's been there, but in terms of the materials and the spaces that have. So part of the design is to maintain the original intent of what is there and salvage as much as possible. Not only from a historical perspective, but also from a sustainability point of view.
Thank you so much. We have time for one question. And this question comes from the in-person community. How many solar panels will be used?
So we don't have an actual number of solar panels, but I can tell you the roof of the affordable housing is dedicated to solar panels. The roof of the Pioneer Bank building, however, it's really interesting when you look at it. There was a former skylight that was covered, and our goal is to open that up and bring daylight back into the bank building.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moreno, and thank you so much for the Park Row Team Pioneros. I am going to hand it back over to Mr. Mosier for closing comments.
Thank you. We appreciate your time. We know this format can be awkward, and we know, at night, everyone here who's on the call is interested in doing a lot of other things. And so we know this is important to you. So just thank you for the opportunity to present. We're really excited about it and hope we can do this again. Juan, I don't know if you want to add anything to.
Norma, I would just add for the community, we want you to understand there's been a lot of heart that's gone into this, a lot of passion in the community, but I don't want anybody to think that we have it solved entirely. There's a lot more conversations that need to happen with the community and spaces where the community can help us innovate and invent what goes there. So I want to assure that the community, we're practitioners of community engagement and we care about it deeply. So know that we will be in the community and listening.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. And again, thank you to Park Row Team Pioneros, as well as thank you to Hispanic Housing Los Pioneros. I am now at this time going to hand it over to Kevin, I believe, to close us out.
Yes, thank you very much, Norma. So, yes, thanks for going there. I think it's Gerardo still running the slideshow. So next steps in this RFP review. Number one, next week, the department's going to send out an email update to everybody who registers for updates from the Invest Southwest team. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link into the chat right now. So if you're not already receiving email updates from the Department of Planning and Development and the Invest Southwest initiative, go ahead and click on that link, enter your email address, and click the Humboldt Park checkbox. And that way we can stay in touch with you as things move forward. And we'll be able to reach out next week and send you a link to this presentation, a link to the community survey, and a link to a developer Q&A and comparative matrix that will synthesize what you've seen here and allow you to do a side-by-side comparison as you go through the scorecard. The scorecard is live tonight. I'm going to show you that on the next slide, but we will be sending out some additional materials next week that will let you compare the two. So you may want to wait until then to go ahead and go through them. Once all the input has been reviewed, a winning team will be selected and announced. The selection committee will include both city-based employees and community-based evaluators who have been selected. And then after the winning team is selected, DPD will refer back to the feedback from these sessions and other engagement events that we host to advance negotiations with the selected developer and make amendments to the proposal as it proceeds through the formal review and approval process. So the next slide. So this is the community survey. So we'll close out on this. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up on screen because I know we have people in the room at the park watching tonight. So we'll end on this. We'll leave this on screen. You can take the community survey starting as soon as tonight, or you can wait until next week. Please share this widely. Share this with friends, neighbors, coworkers, family members. You can go ahead and scan the QR code. On the left is Spanish, on the right is English. And we'll close out on that. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll talk to you soon.
Buenas noches a todos.
Hasta luego. Gracias. Bye, everyone.
Gracias a todos. Chao.